This video is to help you to understand how to do process costing. This is the exact same template and the same type of problem that we did in class today. So let's see if we can work through this problem to give you one more example. This was sent to you as a blank piece of paper. Hopefully you worked out the problem before you watched this video. First, we'll read our narrative. Note that new materials are added at the beginning of the process. And we'll look at the production for 1 week. And that's our challenge with process costing. So we have beginning inventory of 100 rolls. They already have all of their materials, and they are 25% converted. So in order to finish them, you don't have to add any materials, so we get to put a 0 there. However, since they're only 25% converted, you're going to have to do another 75%. So we're going to put a 75% in this slot. And that's the work that it's going to take. Remember, we have 100 rolls, but if we don't put any materials in, we have no equivalent units of materials. As far as conversion costs go, 100 rolls times 0.75 is 75. So 25% of the conversion costs were incurred the week before. We will incur 75 equivalent units of conversion. Let's move on to the second part, which is right here. Work started and completed. And if we look up here, it's 3,000 rolls. This is everyone's favorite part, because if it's started and completed in this whole period, that means that during the week, we started and finished 3,000 rolls of toilet paper. As far as materials, and as far as conversion cost goes. Let's move to the final phase. Ending inventory, in this example, is showing up as 200 units on the last day of the week with 100% of the materials. So let's go ahead and put that in here. There's 100% of the materials. Going back up here, we see it's 200 units. So 100% with 200 units is going to be 200 equivalent units, 200 whole units of materials. So we can go ahead and calculate what's going on in our direct materials area right now. And what we've got is that we have done the equivalent of 3,200 units in materials for the production of these rolls of toilet paper. A little bit more complicated. We have only 30% converted, and that's the work that we did during the week. So 30% times these 200 units up here is going to equal to 60. So now we can find out what's the equivalent work that we did to convert the materials into a finished product. That is 3,135 units. So my answers are right here. What the answers say is that I did the equivalent during the week of 3,200 equivalent units of materials. I didn't have to put any in that first 100 rolls, but I put all of the materials in my work started and completed. I put all of the materials in the ending inventory. When it comes to conversion costs, I had to finish up the 25% that had already been converted, so that means that I added another 75%. Next, with the 200 that are left on the last day of the week, I do this work myself. So the 30% is what I add to the 200. Now let's take this one quick step further. First, remember, $3,135 is our conversion cost equivalent units of production. The following week, after we finish this week, the next week there'll be 200 units that are 30% converted, and the very first day of the week before they do any of the work, because we do first in, first out, then they will have 200 units that have all of their materials 30% converted, and 70% will need to be finished. And that's the way it works with all of these FIFO types of problems. So let's look at the cost per flash drive. We have, from the problem at the top, $600 If I divide that by 3,135 units, I get 19 cents per unit. And that's my cost for conversion. If I look at the materials cost, and again, I'm getting this information from up here. If I look at the materials cost, I have spent $1,024. If I divide that by the $3,200 in materials, then I come out with the fact that it has cost me 32 cents for materials per roll. And sorry about that, this should say per roll. Need to make a quick correction. Just trying to use the same template to make it easier. That's just a typo, my apologies. Okay, so now the cost per unit is 0.51 or 51 cents, and we figured out the cost per unit for our toilet paper. So let's look real quickly at what we've got as far as where these numbers came from. Okay, this information right here, the $600 came from here, and the $31.35 came from here. So you had to calculate the $31.35, but the $600 was given to you. It's provided in the problem. Okay, and then when we figure out the material cost per roll, we come up here and find that materials cost $1,024 for this week, and that our equivalent units of materials was $3,200, and that goes as the denominator in the problem. And we come up finding out that it cost us 51 cents. And that's awesome. That's the kind of information that we need and the kind of information that we want. So let's keep going. One more small question that's been asked down here. Actually, two. Let's just throw out the fact that there are two more questions. How many units were started during this week? So we look at the fact, if we scroll back up, we see that the 100 units were already there. So we didn't start those, but we did start 3,000, and we did start 200. So we can say that 3,200 rolls of toilet paper were started during the week. We started the 3,000 here, and we started the 200 here. Second added question, just to see if we can figure out the last piece of information. How much did we finish? Well, we had to finish this inventory, and we finished these 3,000. Let's change the color of ink on this so that it maybe helps a little bit. So that shows that we actually started and finished 3,100 rolls. And that's the way you answer a problem for process costing, for determining not only equivalent units per materials and equivalent units for conversion cost, but it also helps as far as determining what the cost per unit is, figuring out how many units were started during this week, and how many units were transferred to finished goods. Final comment I want to make. You will see the problem on the exam on Tuesday in this same format. Of course, different numbers, different type of product. But it's important that you understand that the biggest key to this is that we're trying to understand how to calculate equivalent units. The rest will be given to you. I hope this helps, and I hope you'll take some time to work this problem by yourself and ask any questions if you have any. Thanks so much.